Over the last few days, we have been discussing on this theme of the 6 Goswamis of Vrindavan, and we have covered about 4 Goswamis, in which we were also blessed by the presence of His Grace Gauranga Prabhu, who spoke about Srila Rup Goswami, and His Grace Gauranga Darshan Prabhu, who spoke about Srila Sanatan Goswami. Today, Maharaj has kindly agreed to speak about the life and glories of Srila Raghunath Das Goswami. Srila Raghunath Das Goswami ki Jai! Dear devotees, without wasting much time, let us all, in one voice, as loud as possible, let's welcome Maharaj by loudly chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra once. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna Mahamantra ki Jai.
Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Janapallabha Giri Govardhan Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Janapallabha Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Janapallabha Giri Govardhan Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Janapallabha Giri Govardhan Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Jamuna Tira Banachari Jamuna Tira Banachari Jamuna Tira Banachari Jamuna Tira Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Janapallabha Giri Govardhan Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Janapallabha Giri Govardhan Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Om Gyantimidandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Judapadakamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavanscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahakana Raghunatham Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Harijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Śrī Radha Krishna Padam Sahaganā Śrī Vishakamitamscha. He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dīnabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha-kunda Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vansha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya eva cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasati Gaura Bhakta-vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namani Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirbhishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Shata. I hope you are all having a enlightening experience in Govardhan Eco Village. Thank you so very much, Prabhu, for bringing all these wonderful, special devotees from all over the planet to bless us. Thank you. I was asked to speak on the subject of Śrī Raghunath Das Goswami. Srila Prabhupada, our beloved founder Acharya, and all of our Acharyas from the time of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, they have given us this essential instruction that to follow Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's teachings, we are to follow in the footsteps of the six Goswamis. We cannot try to imitate because that is unsustainable, impossible, but rather follow in their footsteps. The extreme extent in which they followed the teachings of Lord Chaitanya in their lives and the quality in which they did it. The deepest prema, ecstatic love, is beyond us. But the very principles that they exemplified are what we should give our life, our soul, our everything to try to apply to our life, to our capacity. That is what it means to follow in their footsteps. Following in footsteps, we don't want to walk next to them. We never want to try to go in front of them, but we're always behind them. And in one sense, that is the idea of being the servant of the servant of the servant. We do not aspire to be equal to or better. We always want to be behind as a servant. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he gave us this goal to strive for. Gopi Bhartur Padakamalayora Das 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 Anudas, to be servant of servant of servant of the Lord of Gopis. Raghunath Das Goswami was born and raised in a village of Krishnapur. Has any of you been to Krishnapur? It's in a cluster of villages called Saptagram. There's the Adi Saptagram. It's in West Bengal. His father was Govardhan and his uncle Hiranya. They were landowners who owned large spans of property. And in those days, the kings would entrust these powerful landowners to be like the rulers of their area. With the amount of produce they created, with the amount of revenue that they generated, they were fantastically wealthy. They had palaces. They were living almost like kings and queens. And Raghunath Das was so qualified in every way. Everyone was so proud of them. And Raghunath Das Goswami was the only heir, the only son and child within the whole family. So they expected him, as well as trained him, to inherit everything. And they were so happy to see how fit he really was. Even as a child, very learned, very completely pure in his character. Govardhan and Hiranya, they were disciples of Yadunandanacharya, who was a disciple of Sri Advaitacharya, that great personality whose prayers brought Radha and Krishna to this world in the form of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And their family priest was Balaramacharya. Balaramacharya and Yadunandanacharya were very, very deep friends. And Yadunandanacharya was also a student and a really beloved associate of Vasudeva Datta, whose compassion for all living beings was so deep and so pure and so genuine that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would cry upon saying his name. Lord Chaitanya would say, Vasudeva Datta, I belong to him. Wherever he wants to sell me, I am sold. I am simply Vasudeva Datta's man. That is the power of a person whose compassion is so deep to make sacrifices for the fallen souls of this world. When you love someone, you want to share the very best thing you have with them. Balaram Acharya and Yadunandanacharya, They wanted to share the very best thing with Raghunath Das. Haridas Thakur, he came to a village named Chandpur, which is part of the Saptagram villages. Śrī Chaitanya Charitamrita tells that previously he was in Benapole, and I believe you all know the story of Thakur Haridas, when a very wealthy landowner named Ramchandra Khan, he was envious of Haridas because he was very highly educated, Ramchandra Khan. He was quite scholarly, politically the most powerful person in the region, and very wealthy. But the nature of life in this material world is, as long as the seed of envy is in our heart, as long as we're disconnected from loving service to Krishna, we can never be satisfied. Haridas Thakur, he had no formal education. He lived in little huts in the forest, sometimes caves. And he was also an outcast, according to the misconceived caste system of the time. He was considered an untouchable. But yet so many people loved him and respected him. And this was intolerable to Ramchandra Khan. So he made every type of arrangement to get Haridas Thakur to fall down from his principles so that he could beat him, imprison him, punish him, or perhaps even kill him. His goal was to disgrace Haridas in every way. And Haridas was his well-wisher. He probably loved Ramchandra Khan more than anybody else in the planet. This is the power of envy. So he sent the best of all prostitutes to go in the middle of the night to seduce him. And Haridas was so kind. He knew what was happening. He said, I'll fulfill all of your desires. Just wait till I finish my chanting. But what he didn't say is he never finished his chanting. So she waited all night and he was chanting Mahamantra. When the sun rose, she had to go home. Haridas said, I'm sorry, I didn't finish my rounds tonight. Come back tomorrow. She came back the next day, same thing. And the third day, when the sun was rising, he said, how can I serve you? And she offered her Dandavat pranams at his lotus feet and said, I want to be your disciple. I confess I came with the most evil intentions as a representative of Ramchandra Khan to destroy your life. But by seeing your qualities and hearing you chanting the holy names, now I only want what you have. Please forgive me and let me serve you forever. Haridas Thakur said, I already knew before you came why you came. He said, in fact, I have no attachment to this place. I was going to leave, but just to show compassion to you, just to give you Krishna, I stayed 3 extra days. Now I will leave, and you may stay in my kutir in the jungle and worship Tulsi as I am worshiping Tulsi, and chant the holy names constantly. And don't worry about food or anything else, it will all be provided. And then Thakur Haridas left. And she became so famous. Have any of you been to Nepal? Gopi Priya has gone. Exactly the opposite happened. When the people of the town saw that this most disgraced, immoral person had become a great saint, a renunciate, constantly chanting the names of the Lord with pure love, then the glories of Haridas Thakur became even more and more. But when Haridas left Nepal, he went to Chandpur. And there Balaram Acharya, Yadunandan Acharya, they arranged for his stay. And every day they would bring little Raghunath Das to meet Haridas Thakur. They were not aware of the effect it would have. Here is Raghunath living in opulence, such a lavish lifestyle, with the opportunity of so much power, so much influence, so much popularity, so much wealth. And Haridas Thakur was everything the opposite. He just wore a kopan, a little cloth around his waist, sometimes a little chadar. He just begged for a little food, whatever was given to him. And he was living in caves, and not even the same cave for very long. He would wander around. And not only that, everywhere Haridas went, he was discriminated against, he was persecuted, he was criticized. There were so many false rumors trying to destroy his reputation. He was declared an untouchable. How many people want to be like that? Raghunath Das wanted to be like that. He considered, this is what I want. I want the prema, the ecstatic love that Haridas has, the attachment he has for hearing the glories of the Lord and chanting the holy names constantly. For many days, Raghunath would go and hear from Haridas Thakur and offer personal services to him, along with Balaram Acharya and Yadunandan Thakur. And he became completely indifferent to everything in this material world. For him, it wasn't even an austerity. It was his natural attraction. And these beautiful pastimes are staged by Lord Chaitanya to teach us sacred lessons. The power of association with devotees, satsang. It was just association with one great Vaishnava that totally transformed Raghunath Das's heart. He prayed, he longed, he yearned to live like Haridas Thakur. And seeing his complete disinterest in all worldly affairs, his mother, father, uncle, and all family became very concerned. So they married him. They arranged marriage for him with most beautiful girl who had very divine qualities. And they gave him more and more wonderful responsibilities. But Raghunath, he was going along being a good son, performing his duties, but he just wasn't interested. Meanwhile, Lord Gauranga was living in Navadvip, Sri Mayapur Dham, and in order to inspire the Sankirtan movement throughout the whole world, without discriminating who is unfit or who is fit, he had practically the whole of Navadvip lovingly chanting the holy names. Some people were attacking him for doing so. To reach those people and the rest of the world, Lord Chaitanya left his own elderly mother, Sachi Devi, his young wife, Vishnupriya, and no one could love them more than Nimai did, but still, for the sake of all of us, he left home and took sannyas in Katwa. After becoming sannyasi, he immediately wanted to go to Vrindavan. But on his way to Vrindavan, Nityananda Prabhu, he understood the Lord's heart. Even though he wanted so much to be in Vrindavan, his eternal home, because he's Krishna, the Mahabhav, the love of Sri Radha. Still, even more prominent than that was his love for his devotees. Sachimata was dying in separation from her son. Advaita, Srivas, Haridas, all these devotees, Gadadhar, how could they live? Lord Chaitanya just left them all. So in a very tricky way, he directed Lord Chaitanya to Advaita's house in Shantipur. And at that time, Sachimata and all the devotees of Mayapur and Navadvip came to meet him. And Govardhan and Hiranya, they were actually very great devotees. They were attached to certain material activities in life, but they had great reverence for the Vaishnavas. And they would give donations and sponsor many great Brahmins and devotees. And they were patrons of Advaitacharya. So Raghunath Das, with his parents' permission and various, guardians to protect him and take him home, he went to Shantipur. And that's where he met Lord Chaitanya for the first time. And Advaitacharya, because he was so close to Lord Chaitanya and so close to the parents of Raghunath, he personally arranged for Raghunath Das to offer service to Lord Chaitanya. And Raghunath remained in the service of Lord Chaitanya for 10 days. And then it was time for him to go home. Now we read in Sri Chaitanya Bhagavat and Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita about that incredible time that Lord Chaitanya spent in Shantipur at the house of Advaita Prabhu and Sita Thakurani. Those most ecstatic kirtans. Imagine the devotees, when they heard that Lord Chaitanya secretly left late at night crossed the river Ganga, went to Katva. They didn't know where he was. And then they got the message. He took sannyas and he's gone forever. And by Nityananda Prabhu's mercy and love for all the devotees, he somehow or other brought Lord Chaitanya to Shantipur. And the imminent separation of Lord Chaitanya and then his return was so sweet. Seeing Sachimata's love and all the devotees' love. The nature of their kirtans, the nature of their harikatas. Sachimata, during those 10 days, she requested all the devotees, please let me cook for my Nimai every day. So Raghunath Das Goswami was serving Lord Gauranga, receiving such intimate special blessings of Lord Gauranga and all the devotees, Advaita, Nityananda, Gadadhar, Srivas. There he met Haridas again. He was getting the remnants of the Lord by the arrangements of Advaitacharya. Who can estimate what that prasad was, cooked by Sachimata in her ecstatic motherly love, taken by Lord Chaitanya from the hands of Advaita and others, given to Raghunath Das. And they would have kirtan throughout the day and throughout the night. It was 24 hours a day festival. He was truly experiencing not only a higher taste, the highest taste. And then it was time for him to return to Krishnapur, to his home. While he was serving Lord Chaitanya in Shantipur, his only wish, his only aspiration in his heart was to leave everything in this world behind and just be a personal assistant to the assistants of Lord Chaitanya. He was so disinterested in everything. His parents, they saw he wanted to run away from home and just meet Lord Chaitanya, who had gone to Puri. They arranged 11 guards to keep him home. There were Brahmins, there were guards, there were servants, but they were making sure day and night he was always under their control to remain at home. Soon after, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu went to South India for his tour, and that was about 2 years. So there was nowhere for Raghunath Das Goswami at that time to meet Lord Chaitanya. But then after some years, when he returned from South India, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he convinced his devotees, after actually several years of attempting, to allow him to go to Vrindavan. Lord Chaitanya is the supreme controller of all controllers. He's Mahaprabhu. All of these devotees were the ultimate Prabhus, but yet he's Mahaprabhu. He's the Prabhu of all Prabhus. And yet, always tasting the nectar of being subordinate to the love of his devotees. He would not go to Vrindavan without the blessings of his devotees. So finally, after many years of trying to stop him because they thought he would never return, they gave their blessings under the condition they could all go with him. So there was a great story. King Prataparudra was building bridges across all the rivers and arranging hundreds of boats for Lord Chaitanya and all of his devotees. And when King Prataparudra found out Lord Chaitanya is going to Vrindavan with so many people, he was arranging in his whole kingdom every morning, every afternoon, every evening, wherever Lord Chaitanya would stop, he would have kitchens making big feasts. He was literally taking his entire treasury just to serve the devotees. Because Lord Chaitanya didn't need anything. He was sannyasi, living very simple. But he knew by serving all the devotees, he would give the most pleasure to Lord Chaitanya. And they got as far as Ramakeli. And there Sanatana Goswami and Rupa Goswami first met Lord Chaitanya. Actually, of all the 6 Goswamis, the first to meet Lord Chaitanya was Raghunath Das Goswami. In Ramkeli, he met Rupa and Sanatana, and they came to him late at night, incognito, and surrendered their hearts and souls to him. They were also so wealthy, so powerful. They were the chief minister, home minister of the entire kingdom, great learned scholars. But when they approached Lord Chaitanya with such humility, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had to lift them up and embrace them and cry and say, "Stop speaking like this. Your humility is breaking my heart." Now, what's in Lord Chaitanya's heart? The love of Srimati Radharani. To break his heart means to break open his heart, and that means all that love is flowing to Rupa and Sanatana. When you break a pot of nectar, it all comes out. They personified Trinadapi Sudicina. And Lord Chaitanya said it in this way: your humility is breaking my heart. Rupa and Sanatana were accepted as Lord Chaitanya's own disciples. And Lord Chaitanya instructed them. He wanted them to go to Vrindavan to reestablish the holy places and establish his teachings for the whole world by their example and by their books. Rupa and Sanatana told him, "You're going to Vrindavan with so many hundreds and thousands of people. Will disturb your experience. Vrindavan is a very secluded forest. You should go there alone or maybe with one other. But if you go with so many people, it will be disturbing." Lord Chaitanya heard it, and he continued his journey and came to Kanai Natashala. In Kanai Natashala, has any of you been there? It's a very favorite place of Srila Jayapataka Swami Maharaj, actually. It's a beautiful place. It's considered to have the same atmosphere as Vrindavan. It's a hill, and it's surrounded on 3 sides by the river Ganga. And in that place, the Ganga is so wide, it's like an ocean. You cannot see the other side. Beautiful trees, just like Vrindavan. So Lord Chaitanya was relishing being in Kanai Natashala. But there was so many people. And when there's so many hundreds and thousands of people around, they're making so much noise. Mahaprabhu considered what Sanatana and Rupa told me is correct. I should return to Puri and go to Vrindavan alone. So he stunned everyone. He said, I will return to Navadvip. But there was even a deeper significance. On his way to, when he was leaving Puri for Vrindavan, he would not allow Gadadhar Pandit to come with him. Because Gadadhar Pandit took a vow of Kshetra Sannyas. He was worshipping the deity of Gopinath, that Lord Chaitanya actually entrusted him. And he vowed to never leave Puri because that was the abode of Gopinath. Gadadhar Pandit said, the hell with this vow. To be with you is serving Gopinath tens and millions of times. But Lord Chaitanya wanted him to be exemplary in this way. So he would not allow him to go. And Gadadhar Pandit fainted while Lord Chaitanya was about to cross a river on a boat. And Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya picked him up and said, actually, this is his mercy upon you. When Lord Chaitanya returned to Puri, he said, Krishna and Śrī Radharani would not allow me to go to Vrindavan because I hurt the heart of Gadadhar Pandit. Unless he gives me his full blessings and permission, I cannot go to Vrindavan. Which is a beautiful example. If we hurt the hearts of the devotees, if we don't honor and respect the devotees, then we cannot actually enter into Vrindavan. Even Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu felt like this. We approach Vrindavan by being very sensitive to serving and pleasing Vaishnavas. When Gadadhar Pandit heard this, he told Lord Chaitanya, you are the supreme independent personality of Godhead. You can do anything you like, any time you like. But first, come to my house for prasad and go to Vrindavan. But from Kanai Natashala, when Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was returning to Puri, he again stopped in Shantipur at the Advaita Bhavan, the house of Advaitacharya. And there again, Raghunath Das, with the permission of his parents, surrounded by guardians, came to meet Lord Chaitanya. This is years after. And he expressed his desire to Lord Chaitanya, I want to be a renunciate. I want to give up everything to serve you, to please you, to assist your mission. Lord Chaitanya gave him very profound instruction. He said, you should return home and you should live as if you're completely attached to your material circumstances and perform all your family duties and act as you really love to do these things. But in your heart, you should be completely detached to everything except the loving service of Lord Sri Krishna. He said, do not be a Markata Vairagya, a monkey renunciate. Srila Prabhupada describes what that means. That monkeys don't wear clothes. They don't have houses. They live in trees. They don't eat opulent foods. They just eat wild berries from trees. So they seem really renounced from a material perspective. But in their minds, they're always thinking of enjoying with another female monkey. Renunciation needs to be both within and without. He was giving this lesson to the whole world. He said, you go home and you live with all your responsibilities, and by Krishna's mercy, he will fulfill all your desires and free you. So from Shantipur, again, Raghunath Das returned to Krishnapur. And he was living for about 1 full year. And his parents were really satisfied. He seemed to be so responsible. But after about a year, he was becoming again very impatient, waiting for Krishna's mercy. And he started leaving home again. And he actually would leave home every day. Every day he would secretly leave home, sometimes middle of the night. And every day the 11 guards and others would always forcibly bring him home again. And one day his mother said to his father, what are we going to do with Raghunath? He's always going away. We should tie him with ropes. And Govardhan, father, said, what can ropes do? He already has palaces, luxuries, powers, opulences like Indra, the king of heaven. His wife has the character and the beauty of an angel. If all these things do not keep him home, what are ropes going to do? He has become influenced by the mercy of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Lord Gaurachandra. And for such a madman who has received the mercy of Lord Gaurachandra, his attraction, nothing could stop him. But still they tried. And the guardians kept bringing him home. And one day, Raghunath Das heard the news that Nityananda Prabhu had come to the nearby village of Panihati on the bank of Mother Ganga. How many have been to Panihati? It's quite close to Calcutta. And His Holiness Bhakti Charu Swami Maharaj, and his love for Srila Prabhupada, he actually got beautiful land very close to where this pastime took place. So Raghunath Das, he got permission from his parents, surrounded by his guardians, to visit Nityananda Prabhu in Panihati. When he arrived, such a glorious sight. On a little hill, just above Ganga, there was a banyan tree. And under the banyan tree sat Sri Nityananda Prabhu, effulgent like tens and millions of full moons. He was surrounded by his most beloved associates who came to Bengal with him on Lord Chaitanya's instruction. There was Sundarananda, Murari Chaitanya, Udaran Thakur, Haridas Pandit, Krishna Das Sarakela, all these wonderful souls were surrounding Nityananda Prabhu. And Raghunath was feeling himself so unqualified. He could not even approach the Lord or his devotees directly. He bowed down from a distant place. And one of the associates of Nityananda Prabhu said, there is Raghunath offering obeisances from a distant place. Nityananda Prabhu was supremely powerful, merciful, and also very humorous. He called out to Raghunath, you are keeping distance just like a thief. Therefore, you must be punished as a thief. And then Nityananda Prabhu had Raghunath directly come to him. And Lord Nityananda Prabhu placed his lotus feet on Raghunath Das's head. And he said, now your punishment will be arrange a feast consisting of chira and dahi, chipped rice and yogurt, to feed all my devotees. Raghunath Das was so happy he gets to serve. And he had all his guardians to help him. So they went to the villages and bought all chira, chipped rice, and so much milk and so much yogurt and so many fruits and so much condensed milk, and they were just, and they arranged huge clay pots, and they soaked all the chira in hot milk, and half they put in big pots with condensed milk and special types of bananas and camphor and ghee, and the other half with yogurt and bananas and sweeteners and so many other very divine substances. And when the news came that Nityananda Prabhu was present and there was a big feast, first it was served to all the devotees on the hill, and they were all eating with Lord Nityananda Prabhu, and soon the news came. And hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people from all the villages, soon thousands of people were coming. There was no room on the hill, so they lined all the banks of the Ganges, and there was no room on the bank of the Ganges. Some people had to stand in Mother Ganga's river. And Raghunath Das Goswami arranged every person to have two pots. One with chira mixed with condensed milk and the other with dahi, yogurt. And Lord Nityananda Prabhu, seeing this incredible scene of so many people enjoying eating Raghunath Das Goswami's offering, in his mind he called Lord Chaitanya to come. Lord Chaitanya was in Puri. Now how to come? From Panihati to Puri, it's a long walk. But Lord Chaitanya, in a transcendental spiritual form, immediately appeared. And to honor the devotion of Raghunath Das Goswami and the enthusiasm and bhakti of all the devotees, Lord Chaitanya and Lord Nityananda went to each pot, and Lord Nityananda would take a portion and put it in Lord Chaitanya's mouth, and Lord Chaitanya would take a portion and put it in Nityananda Prabhu's mouth. And except for Nityananda and a few others, nobody else could see Lord Chaitanya had come. And in this way, there was a wonderful, wonderful feast. And in the middle of the feast, Raghava Pandit he and his sister Damayanti had cooked an incredible feast for Nityananda Prabhu and his intimate associates. And the time for Nityananda to come to their home had already come. And Nityananda wasn't there. So he came out and he saw Nityananda Prabhu with his devotees eating chira and dahi. He said, everything's prepared for you. And Nityananda Prabhu said, I'm a cowherd boy, and I especially like taking prasad on the bank of a river with my friends. He said, I will come to your home tonight, and I'll eat your feast, and we'll have wonderful kirtan. So then Raghava Pandit started bringing more preparations for everybody. And this wonderful feast happened. And at the end of the feast, Lord Chaitanya and Lord Nityananda sat next to each other, and they ate it, and they enjoyed seeing all the devotees so happy. And the remnants, Lord Nityananda Prabhu personally arranged for Lord Chaitanya in his own cups that they ate from to be given to Raghunath Das Goswami. And that night there was a wonderful kirtan at Raghava Pandit's house and a wonderful feast. And again, Lord Nityananda Prabhu, he was dancing, and Lord Chaitanya, he was not seen by anyone, but he was watching the dancing. One of the places that Lord Chaitanya always comes is whenever Nityananda dances anywhere, Lord Chaitanya in a spiritual form will be present to watch. Wherever Raghava Pandit and Damayanti cook, Lord Chaitanya always comes to accept that personally in a divine form. Whenever Sachimata cooks, he will always come. Whenever Srivas Thakur and his brothers have kirtan, Lord Chaitanya always comes. And whenever Lord Nityananda Prabhu dances, Mahaprabhu is present. So Nityananda Prabhu and his devotees were dancing in great ecstasy, and Raghunath Das was part of all of this. And the next morning, Raghava Pandit brought Raghunath Das to Nityananda Prabhu. And Raghunath was so emotional, so humble. He said, I'm completely entangled in materialistic activities. I have no chance for my aspiration to be fulfilled except by your mercy. Raghunath Das Goswami, our Prayojanacharya, he stated with all authority in his humble prayer that no one can approach the mercy of Lord Chaitanya without receiving your mercy, Nityananda Prabhu. Nityananda Prabhu is the very origin of Guru Tattva. He's the original Guru. In our Sampradaya, all Gurus, Diksha Gurus, Shiksha Gurus, they are all empowered representatives of Lord Nityananda. They are the carriers of Nityananda's mercy. That is a great responsibility. Raghunath said, I know, and everyone knows that no one can approach Lord Chaitanya without your mercy, Lord Nityananda. I want to engage in the loving service of Lord Chaitanya and be freed from all entanglements that separate me from that service. Hearing this, Nityananda Prabhu was so moved. He said, Raghunath has such opulence like Indra. He has such power. He has such majesty. And yet he wants to give everything up to serve Lord Chaitanya as a servant of a servant. He told Raghunath Das, go to receive the blessings and mercy of every devotee. And he told all the devotees, bless him with your mercy. And Raghunath Das Goswami, he was Raghunath Das at the time, he went to every devotee and did his dandavat pranams and took dust from their lotus feet and begged for their mercy with tears. And they all embraced him and blessed him. And then he came back to Lord Nityananda Prabhu. And Lord Nityananda said, because you arranged this feast and Lord Chaitanya came and he was satisfied and you served all the devotees in such a way that they're all satisfied. And Lord Chaitanya not only ate your feast, but he danced here. And because you have received the mercy and blessings of all the assembled Vaishnavas, I give you this blessing. Very soon, you will be liberated from all material entanglements. And you will be free to go to Jagannath Puri. And there you will receive the full shelter of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And Lord Chaitanya will entrust you to his most intimate, loving associate, Srila Swarup Damodar Goswami. Then Lord Nityananda Prabhu placed his lotus feet on Raghunath Das's head and lifted him up and embraced him. After this, Raghunath Das Goswami, he was in such a mood of servant of servant of servant. It's not that he thought my desire is now fulfilled. His desire was to serve with whatever money he had, and he brought as much as he could. He gave it to Raghava Pandit to arrange it to be given to Nityananda Prabhu to serve him. He didn't directly offer it to Nityananda Prabhu because he felt he was always in a mood of servant of servant of servant. He gave to Raghava Pandit a large amount of money for Nityananda Prabhu's service. And then along with Raghava Pandit, they arranged a certain amount to be given to each and every devotee according to their needs. And they made a whole list, organization. He was so conscientious of how to serve everyone. And after he left, then all this wealth was distributed. And he went home. And now he was very impatient. And the guards were even more alert every day. But Nityananda Prabhu and Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu both told him that when Krishna's mercy is upon you, he will make all arrangements. To be patient. So he was impatiently patient. And one night, 1.5 hours before the sunrise, Yadunandan Acharya, who's the spiritual master of Raghunath Das Goswami and his whole family, he came to Raghunath Das. At that time, Raghunath Das Goswami he would not sleep in his house. He would sleep in the courtyard outside of his house, outside. The area is called the Durga Mandapa in Bengal. Yadunandan came And he said, the pujari for my temple wants to leave. I need him. Raghunath Das, please come with me and preach to my pujari to get him to stay in his service. So Raghunath Das said, yes, I will come. So they were walking in the dead of night together. And at that time, by Krishna's arrangements, all the guards were asleep. And as they're walking together to go to this pujari's house, Raghunath tells Yadunandanacharya that actually it's very late and I could do this alone. You could go and back and take rest. So Yadunandanacharya was so charmed by Raghunath Das Goswami's desire to please him and serve him. He said, yes, I will, I trust you. And Yadunandanacharya went home. And Raghunath Das Goswami was thinking, this is my chance. It's the first time in years when he wasn't surrounded by guards. Everyone was asleep. And as far as we know, Raghunath very likely went to the pujari and convinced him before leaving. But it doesn't say specifically whether he did or not. But Raghunath escaped. He entered into the forest. And he knew all the guards would be searching for him. So he didn't go on a road. He just went in a forest in a different direction from Puri. Instead of going south, he went east. So that nobody would possibly want to look for him. They would know he's going to Puri. Raghunath, he walked through the jungles. Poison snakes, Bengali tigers, leopards, mosquitoes. There was no food. He walked throughout the day, throughout the night, he walked. And the next day, I think about 13 hours or something, he just walked through the jungles. And he came to a cow shed. And he slept with cows. And then the cowherd man saw him and gave him a little milk. And then Raghunath continued his journey. The next morning, Raghunath Das's family woke up and they went to greet Raghunath, but he wasn't there. They asked the guards, where is he? They said, he was here. We don't know where he is. And then one of the guards said, actually, he was with Yadunandanacharya, our guru. So they went to Yadunandanacharya, where is Raghunath Das? And Yadunandanacharya said, I took him away. And he was going to speak to my pujari. And he asked me to go home. And suddenly the whole family cried out, Raghunath is gone. So they sent so many guards and so many people to go and search for him. But they assumed he went on the main road toward Puri. And at that time, Shivananda Sain was leading a whole group of devotees from Mayapur, Navadvip, and the Bengal area to meet Lord Chaitanya for Puri, for the Rath Yatra. So Govardhan, Hiranya, they sent their guards to go to Shivananda saying, they asked, have you seen Raghunath? And Shivananda said, no, we have not seen. He is not here. So they all went home. They didn't know where he was. Meanwhile, Raghunath walked 13 days it took him to get to Puri. And in those 13 days, he only got food 3 times. On 3 different days. And it was sometimes freezing cold at night, burning hot in the day. He didn't bring anything with him. But yet he was so happy with excitement and anticipation. I'm going to meet my Lord. When he arrived in Puri, he went directly to the Gambhira, the rooms, special secret rooms in the house of Kashi Mishra, where Lord Chaitanya resided. And Raghunath, from a distant place, he offered his Dandavat pranams to Lord Gauranga. Mukunda Datta, he said, there is Raghunath Das. And Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came and placed his feet on his head and lifted him up and embraced him. He said, by Lord Krishna's mercy, you have been liberated from all your material entanglements. Lord Chaitanya gave an example. He said, materialistic life is like a pit where people go to pass stool. And I'm speaking very humorously and affectionately. Because your father and uncle were dear friends of my grandfather, Nilambar Chakravarti Thakur, so they're like my grandfather uncles. And sometimes the nephew speaks very intimately to the uncles, and humorously, and they do not take offense. So your father and uncle are like 2 worms living in the stool of the ditch of material entanglement. And even if a worm gets out of the stool, still he goes back in because he's too attached. He said, it is only by Krishna's mercy that a person who has so much as you could possibly leave it all to serve Krishna. As Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was speaking with so much appreciation, affection, Raghunath Das Goswami was thinking in his mind that I do not know Krishna. I only know my beloved Lord Gauranga. It is by your mercy that I am here. At that time, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, now I have 3 Raghunaths. Raghunath Datta, Raghunath, and now you will be known as the Raghunath of Swarup Damodar. He turned to Swarup Damodar Goswami and said, I am entrusting Raghunath Das to you in your care. And he said to Raghunath Das Goswami that I am putting you into the care of Swarup Damodar Goswami. Lord Chaitanya took Swarup Damodar Goswami's hand and took Raghunath Das Goswami's hand and put them together. And from that day, Raghunath Das Goswami became the personal assistant of Swarup Damodar Goswami, who was, along with Ramananda Rai, was most intimate, personal, loving servant of Lord Chaitanya. And Raghunath Das Goswami was so humble, he felt himself so unqualified. Even though he was close to Lord Chaitanya, he would not speak to him. If he had any question, he would always speak to Swarup Damodar Goswami. One day, Swarup Damodar Goswami came with Raghunath to Lord Chaitanya and said, Raghunath has a question for you, but he's feeling too shy to ask you directly. He is saying, I've given up everything of this world. But I do not know why, and I do not know how to serve you properly in the renounced order of life. Can you please tell me? And Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu spoke two beautiful verses, beginning Gramya Katana Shunive, Gramya Vartana Kohive. Lord Chaitanya said, for one in the renounced order of life, you should not speak gossip. You should not speak the materialistic subjects of this world. And you should never hear it. You should not eat luxurious food or wear luxurious clothes. You should always feel yourself to be a humble servant. Never desire or expect respect for yourself, but always offer all respect to others. In this mood, constantly chant the holy names of the Lord, and in your mind, render loving service to Sri Radha Krishna in Vrindavan. And then he gave one more verse, the very essence of renunciation. Trinadapi sunichena, tarori baseshnana, amanina manadena kirtaniya sadai. One should be more humble than a blade of grass, more tolerant and forgiving than a tree. One should be very eager to offer all respect to others without expecting it for oneself. In this way, one can constantly chant the names of the Lord. Then Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, actually, for all these questions you can ask, Swarup Damodar Goswami can answer them better than me. So Lord Chaitanya very much approved that he go through Swarup Damodar Goswami. When the day that Raghunath Das Goswami arrived in Puri, Lord Chaitanya, he told Govinda, his personal assistant, that Raghunath has suffered so much on this path coming here. He's been fasting. Bring him to the ocean to take bath. Bring him to the temple of Jagannath to see Lord Jagannath. And then personally give him my Maha Prasad. So for the next 5 days, Govinda was providing the Mahaprasad of Lord Chaitanya to Raghunath Das Goswami. And after 5 days, he was feeling so unqualified and so humble that he began to eat by standing in a long line of beggars at the Singhadwaram, at the stairs and the gate going up to Jagannath's temple. Because it was the custom at that time, those who were homeless beggars would just stand at the Singhadwaram to beg. Meanwhile, Shivananda Sain with his whole group came to Puri, and then they came back to Bengal. And Raghunath Das Goswami's father, uncle, they sent messengers to Shivananda saying, "Did you see our Raghunath? Is he in Puri?" Because in those days, it wasn't like Instagram where you see where everybody is at every moment. You had to send somebody 1,000 miles by foot to go and see if somebody, where this person is and what he's doing. And you have to wait for him to come back. And Shivananda saying, when he heard this question, he said, "Oh yes, I have seen Raghunath. Everybody knows Raghunath in Puri. He's the crest jewel of renunciation. He's constantly chanting the holy names of the Lord, constantly glorifying the Lord, constantly associating with the devotees of the Lord. And he only wears discarded clothes, a kopan. And he eats by begging at the Singadwaram. And he doesn't sleep more than an hour and a half a day. He's always engrossed in loving service as the servant of Swarup Damodar Goswami. And Shivananda Sain was so happy to glorify him. But his parents and his mother and everybody, when they heard this news, they were not happy at all. They were thinking, "Oh, what can we do? Now there's no way we could bring Raghunath Das Goswami back." It's not that they could kidnap him from Lord Chaitanya's association, because his parents were actually great Vaishnavas. So they sent 400 coins and servants and Brahmins and cooks to take care of Raghunath, to get him a comfortable place and all of that. And when they came, Raghunath didn't want anything. But they insisted, so he sent some of them away. So with the money and the assistant who was there, Raghunath did not spend anything for himself. 2 times every month, he would invite Lord Chaitanya to his kutir for prasad. And Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he would take it. He would arrange nice feast for Lord Chaitanya of Jagannath's prasad. And this went on for 2 years. And then Raghunath Das Goswami stopped. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu asked Swarup Damodar Goswami why he's not inviting him. 2 times a month for 2 years, he invited me without fail. Why he's not inviting? And Swarup Damodar Goswami, he replied that Lord Chaitanya, or Raghunath Das was thinking that I'm making all these arrangements and Lord Chaitanya is just coming to tolerate me. But actually, I'm doing all this just for my own prestige, that I'm rendering such special service to the Lord, and the Lord is giving me such personal attention. But Lord Chaitanya is not really pleased with this. Lord Chaitanya said, I don't even see Raghunath Das Goswami at the Singadwaram. Where is he taking his meals? And Swarup Damodar Goswami said, now he's not going to beg at the Singadwaram. He's going to the free booths where the booths where they sell Jagannath Prasad. And at the end, when it's all, the wasted things they give to beggars. And Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who's in the heart of every living being, he was revealing the heart of Raghunath. That when he was sitting at Singadwaram, it's very renounced, being a beggar. But then you're thinking when somebody's walking by, yesterday he gave, will he give me today? this person looks like he has a lot of prasad. Will he give me anything? Why is this person not giving me anything? And he's evaluating people according to what he's getting from people. He said Raghunath doesn't want to do that. Therefore, he's just going to these booths where even a much lower level of food is given to you. And after some time, Raghunath Das was not even going to the booths. It was reported to Lord Chaitanya that he was feeling too unqualified for that. He was feeling it's too much sense gratification. So now in those booths, in those little stalls that they sell prasad and they give out to beggars what isn't sold, the prasad that becomes rotten and decomposed, they throw it in a pile where cows come at night to eat it. And the rice that even the cows consider unpalatable because it's too decomposed, they spit it out or they just leave it aside in this rubbish pile. In the middle of the night, nobody knows, nobody sees him. He secretly goes to that pile of prasad after the cows leave it. And he takes that decomposed rice that the cows reject, and he collects it. And he just takes the inner core of that rice and washes it. Adds a little salt, and that's the only thing Raghunath eats. And Swarup Damodar Goswami, he heard about this. And he went one day when Raghunath was about to eat, and he forcibly snatched some of that Mahaprasad and he ate it. And he considered it tasted like nectar because he was tasting the bhav of Śrī Raghunath Das Goswami. And Swarup Damodar Goswami told Lord Chaitanya about this. So Lord Chaitanya came to Raghunath Das Goswami's place of residence. And he said, Raghunath, I hear you are eating the most luxurious nectarine prasad. Why you are not inviting me to take it? And Raghunath Das was very bewildered and embarrassed. But Lord Chaitanya knows everything. He knows where that prasad was hidden in his house. And he went there and he thrust his hand into the pot and took a morsel and ate it. And he was so ecstatic. He went and took another handful to eat that. And Swarup Damodar Goswami immediately took it out of Lord Chaitanya's hand and said, no, you cannot eat this. It is not fit for you. And Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, in great ecstatic love, he said, I have tasted over the years all the beautiful, luxurious, delicious forms of prasad of Jagannath, but I have never tasted the nectarine food that Raghunath Das Goswami is eating every day. This is a beautiful lesson. When we offer food to Krishna Bhoga, it's not that he's just eating the quality of the grains or the vegetables or the spices. He's not just eating the quality of the expertise of the cook. He's tasting the bhakti, the love, the devotion in which it's offered. Patram pushpam palam toyam. It's not that Lord Chaitanya was tasting just the renunciation of Raghunath, eating the inner portion of decomposed rice that cows would reject it. He was tasting the love, the devotion, the pure surrender of Raghunath Das Goswami's heart. And this must be carefully understood. The renunciation of Raghunath Das Goswami was not that I'm fasting and I can't wait till I get, something. That I'm not going to do it. Raghunath's detachment was expressions of his pure love. Expressions of his unmotivated, uninterrupted desire to serve the Lord at every moment with his body, mind, words, life, soul, everything for the Lord. It was that desire to please the Lord, to love the Lord, that was the spirit of his renunciation. And he did it secretly. He wasn't trying to be renounced so that people would think he was renounced. Everything was in love. And that's what Mahaprabhu tasted. It's a very, very powerful lesson Mahaprabhu taught through his devotee. And Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was so pleased with Raghunath Das Goswami. He gave him the most precious possession he had. Do we still have time?
We have a lot of time.
3 years before, a great sannyasi named Shankarananda Saraswati came from Vrindavan to Puri. And he gifted 2 gifts to Lord Chaitanya. A Govardhan Shila and a Gunja Mala, a mala made of the very beautiful seeds from the Gunja berries that grow especially in Vrindavan. And in Bengal, they sometimes call a Gunja Mala a garland of conch shells because Gunja berries resemble little conch shells. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he would wear that Gunja Mala and Govardhan Shila around his neck. And for 3 years, Lord Chaitanya, he worshipped that Govardhan Shila. He saw the Shila not as a stone, but directly the body of Sri Nandanandan, the son of Nanda Maharaj. In the ecstatic Mahabhav of Sri Radharani, he saw that Shila, and he loved that Shila as Krishna personally, the body of Krishna. In his ecstatic moments in kirtan and his Mahabhav of meditations, he would press the Giriraj Shila on his forehead. He would press to his eyes. He would press to his heart. Kaviraj Goswami tells that Giriraj Shila was constantly moistened by the tears of the love of Lord Chaitanya. After 3 years, being so pleased with Raghunath Das Goswami's devotion, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu entrusted the Govardhan Shila to him. He said, this Giriraj Shila is directly the body of Krishna. Worship with water, and every day offer 8 tulsi flowers, manjaris, with a tulsi leaf on each side. When Raghunath Das Goswami received this gift of Lord Chaitanya, he took it right off his own neck and gave it to Raghunath Das. He was thinking in his heart, by giving me his Govardhan Shila, Lord Gauranga is giving me eternal residence at Govardhan Hill. And by giving me the Gunja Mala, Lord Chaitanya is giving me the shelter of loving service to Srimati Radharani. He worshipped Giriraj with so much love and devotion. And then Swarup Damodar Goswami arranged some little cloths to make clothes for Giriraj and gave to him. And then he arranged through Govinda, Swarup Damodar Goswami arranged through Govinda for sandesh and a sweet called, I think, kaji. Very beautiful Bengali sweets to be offered every day. And in this way, for 16 years, Raghunath Das Goswami was personally the servant of the servant of the servant of Lord Chaitanya. During these 16 years, he was hearing from all the loving devotees about the pastimes of Lord Chaitanya. He was seeing these pastimes every day with his own eyes. And he had access to the diary of Swarup Damodar Goswami, who was constantly with Lord Chaitanya. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he closed the final chapter of his pastimes by entering into the deity of Gadadhar Pandit, of Tota Gopinath. After Lord Chaitanya left this world, all the devotees, they were drowning in a limitless, shoreless, bottomless ocean of separation. And soon after, Swarup Damodar Goswami also departed from the world. Raghunath Das Goswami was feeling so sad that he was still alive in the absence of Lord Chaitanya and Swarup Damodar and all these associates who he gave his life and soul to serve and to please. So he decided after 16 years of service in Puri to go to Vrindavan and to end his life by jumping from the top of Govardhan Hill. When he reached Vrindavan, he first met Rupa Goswami and Sanatana Goswami and asked for blessings to fulfill his plan. They said, "You are our own brother. You stay with us as brothers." Said, of everyone who is still living in this world, you have the most precious treasure of knowing the pastimes and the teachings of Lord Chaitanya. We will give you a place where Lord Chaitanya discovered Radha-kunda and Shyamakunda. And you reside there and every day recite the pastimes of Lord Chaitanya. And you live with us as brothers. Raghunath Das Goswami, he felt in the core of his heart that Rupa Goswami and Sanatana Goswami, their surrender to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, their love for Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and how they were being empowered by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, that Lord Chaitanya was directly and personally living in this world through their hearts. And he could feel so strongly in loving separation the presence of Lord Chaitanya and Rupa and Sanatan's devotion, their love, and their compassion. And that's what kept him alive, was the association of Rupa and Sanatan. Sri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale. When Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu met Rupa Goswami at Prayag, he taught him for 10 days. When he met Sanatan Goswami at Varanasi, he taught him for 2 months and completely entrusted his own love, his own mission to these 2 great souls. And when Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, after returning from Vrindavan, when he came to Puri, he was telling, as if he had many, many mouths, the glories of Rupa and Sanatan. He said, in Prayagraj, seeing the humility and the surrender and devotion of Rupa Goswami, I embraced him. And my own heart, the love of my heart, I entrusted in the heart of Rupa Goswami. And for that reason, we are called Rupanugas. It was Lord Chaitanya's desire to invoke, entrust his own Mahabhava in the heart of Rupa Goswami to share with the world. And Sanatan Goswami is Rupa Goswami's guru. So Raghunath Das Goswami, in the association of Rupa and Sanatan, he lived a very, very long life on the banks of Śrī Radhakunda. And Rupa and Sanatan also had bhajan kutirs there. So they would often meet together. In Sri Vrindavan Dham, there are beautiful stories of Raghunath Das Goswami's devotion, detachment. Sometimes in Bengal, Navadvip, Puri, Shantipur, Panihati, Kardaha, all these places, Shaptagram, when people would go to Vrindavan and come back, everyone would gather around and ask, did you see Rupa and Sanatan? How are they living? Did you meet Raghunath Das Goswami? And they would speak their glories. In Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, we read how Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, when he came to Vrindavan, he was especially searching for Radha-kunda and Shyamakunda when he was approaching Giri Govardhan. It's glorified in the Holy Scriptures, Padma Purana, as the holiest of all holy places, intimate place of Sri Radharani's service to Krishna, a place where they perform their Rasa Leela. And nobody knew where Radha-kunda and Shyamakunda were. Everyone had heard about it. And Lord Chaitanya one day was sitting under a tamal tree, and he saw two little ponds in a paddy field, and he discovered this is Radha-kunda and Shyamakunda. He bathed in those 2 little ponds in great ecstasy. He was chanting the holy names. He was offering obeisances, glorifying. With the mud from the pond of Radha-kunda, he was putting on tilak. He was crying, dancing. The Brajabasis didn't know, why is this great sannyasi? Why is he bathing in these puddles. Puddles that they walk by every day. Sometimes maybe the cows may drink some of it. But when Raghunath Das Goswami came to live there, they were just like that. They were just two little ponds in a paddy field, totally neglected. But he realized it's the very holiest sacred place of the spiritual world. And he would perform his bhajan. And one day Sanatana Goswami was coming to visit him. Sanatana Goswami would travel all around Braj Bhumi, and he had a bhajan kutir at Chakaleshwar Mahadev near Manasi Ganga. So he would come and meet Raghunath Das Goswami. The Goswamis would meet regularly to discuss Krishna, to have kirtan, to discuss the mission of Mahaprabhu, to reveal Vrindavan to the world, to reveal pure unalloyed Braj Bhakti to the world. And one day, Sanatana arrived, and when he was approaching Raghunath Das Goswami, who was just sitting on the bank of the pond, with his eyes closed, totally immersed in chanting Radharani and Krishna's holy names, just a couple feet away from him was a huge tiger drinking the water of Radha-kunda. Very scary situation. Sanatana Goswami seeing this, suddenly Krishna appeared, standing between Raghunath Das Goswami and the tiger. And Krishna had a stick. He didn't touch the tiger. He was just protecting Raghunath in case the tiger turned to him. And this was like for a long time. And then the tiger finally went away. Krishna turned to Sanatana Goswami and smiled and disappeared. Sanatana was just waiting out of respect for Raghunath Das Goswami. When Raghunath Das Goswami finally came to external consciousness, Sanatana Goswami, he said, "You are chanting holy names, you're crying and pleading and praying to serve Radha and Krishna. And the way you're doing it, you're causing Krishna to come to serve you. Krishna's standing here protecting you from tigers." And Raghunath Das Goswami was very embarrassed. This is a very high level of devotion. What an example. I think most of us would be very happy if Krishna did that. But he was feeling ashamed. I don't want anything from Krishna. I only want to give. That story's in the Bhakti Ratnakar by Narahari Chakravarti. And another story. The next time Sanatana Goswami came to visit Raghunath Das Goswami, as he was approaching, it was summer. It was noon. The sun was so blistering hot. And Raghunath Das Goswami didn't even bother to go under a tree. He was so immersed in hearing and chanting the names and glories of the Lord, sitting all alone. But the sun was beyond a human being to tolerate for so many hours. And as Sanatana was approaching, Srimati Radharani appeared, standing just behind Raghunath Das Goswami, holding her veil over his head to shade him from the sun. As she was shading him from the sun, she was directly under the sun. She was perspiring profusely. And as the sun started going down, Srimati Radharani looked at Sanatana Goswami, smiled, and disappeared. When Raghunath Das Goswami finally came out of his meditation, Sanatana Goswami chastised him. Because Sanatana Goswami is his superior. He said, now Srimati, we are Radha Dasyam, we are the servants of Srimati Radharani, assisting her in her service to Krishna, and now she has to leave everything to come and protect you because you're so foolish sitting in the sun like this. I give you this order, you must accept a bhajan kutir. Then you could chant and you could meditate and you could completely render loving service, and Radharani and Krishna don't have to come and serve you. Sanatana Goswami then arranged a bhajan kutir to be built for Raghunath Das Goswami. And Raghunath Das Goswami, to not disturb Radha and Krishna with his bhajan, he accepted on the order of Sanatan his first bhajan kutir. At that time, Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami describes Raghunath Das Goswami, his following of regulative principles of bhakti were like the lines in stone. When you see lines in stone, that line goes all the way through the stone. You can't erase a line in stone. No circumstance, no situation could distract Raghunath Das Goswami from his vows of bhajan. He offered 1,000 dandavat pranams to Giri Govardhan every day. He offered minimum 2,000 dandavat pranams to the Vaishnavas every day. He chanted minimal 200,000 names of Krishna every day. He was constantly engrossed in this loving service. And Kaviraj Goswami describes the most he could ever find time to sleep was 1.5 hours in a day. And between hearing and chanting and meditating and rendering services, very often he just forgot all about that 1.5 hours. Such a completely transcendental platform of devotion. This is how Raghunath Das Goswami lived. He only tattered cloth that was rejected after being worn by Brijavasis. He would take that and make a kopan and a chadar. He didn't even do madhukari. Every day he just took one little leaf cup of buttermilk. And sometimes he would forget that. There was a Brijavasi cowherd man named Dasa who used to love to come and serve Raghunath Das Goswami. He knew Raghunath Das Goswami wouldn't eat anything unless somebody brought him something. And Raghunath Das Goswami, he would not ever accept anything more than one leaf cup of buttermilk from the Brijavasi cows, offered from the hands of the Brijavasis. And Dasa was always thinking, how can I better serve? These leaf cups are so tiny. It's just one little leaf. So one day he was herding his cows in a village called Sakistali. And he saw a tree with really big leaves. He was thinking, I could get more buttermilk in this leaf. So he brought this big leaf filled with buttermilk to Raghunath Das Goswami. Before drinking it, Raghunath asked, where did you get such big leaf? He said, I was herding cows in the village of Sakistali. Raghunath Das Goswami said, that is the village of Chandravali. She is the competitor of my Lord, my supreme object of love and devotion and service, Srimati Radharani. Sometimes she takes Krishna away from Radharani. And then Raghunath Das Goswami, in this ecstasy of his inner meditation on the reality of his life in Vrindavan, he took that cup of buttermilk and threw it onto the ground and said, never ever go back to that village. One day, Raghunath Das Goswami was very ill. He was very, very ill. So Dasa and his devotees, they called for Vitalnath. Vitalnath was the son of Shripad Vallabhacharya. Shripad Vitalnath, and he became the successor of the Pushti Marg. And then the six Goswamis was so deep and so intimate. So Vitalnath, he was at the Srinathji temple at top of Govardhan Hill. And when he heard that Raghunath Das Goswami was ill, he came down with two very, very great Kaviraj doctors to check on him. And the Kaviraj doctors, they investigated Raghunath, his pulse and his symptoms. And they said, he's ill because he ate too much. He overate, and he cannot digest all that he ate. And Vitalnath and the other Vaishnavas, they were saying, what an illusion you doctors are in. He only eats 1 cup of buttermilk so strictly. He never eats these things. And they said, actually, from our diagnosis, he ate large quantity of kheer, of rice cooked in milk with saffron, camphor, sugar, and ghee. And they were arguing with the doctors, impossible, he doesn't do this. And Raghunath Das Goswami began to laugh, hysterically laugh. He was laughing so loud. And they were looking, why? And Raghunath Das Goswami said, what the doctors are saying is true. In my meditation, I was meditating on serving the Sakhis in their service to Shri Radha and Krishna. And we made kheer. And we offered it to Srimati Radharani. And Shri Radharani offered that kheer to Krishna. And after eating it, he gave it to Srimati Radharani, and Srimati Radharani then took Krishna's Mahaprasad, and she ate the kheer. And then Srimati Radharani gave that kheer to me. And it was so delicious. And there was no limit to how much kheer there was. It was so nectarine. I drank more and more and more and more. And what the doctors are saying is true. I overate. This was the standard of Raghunath Das Goswami's bhakti. While he's living at Radha-kunda, it's a little paddy field. he's thinking in his mind that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu instructed Goswamis to excavate the holy places, to be places of pilgrimage where others can come. And he was thinking of excavating Radha-kunda and Śyāma-kunda. But then he felt that long ago I gave up all pursuit or attachment to any types of material entanglements or interactions. It takes money and fundraising and all these things. So he put the thought aside. But he really wanted to do this. At that time, Hare Krishna. What is the time? 12:35. Okay, I have a meeting with you at 12:30. I'm sorry, but I'm not famous for punctuality. I'm so grateful to see you. So while he's thinking like this, there was a very wealthy man. And he decided to go to Badrikashram, to the temple of Badrinath. And with all of the money he had, he wanted to donate it all to renovate and restore the temple of Badri Vishal in Badrinath, high in Himalayas. So he walked all the way there to perform this service. And he offered everything to Badrinath. And he rested that night and had a dream. And the deity of Badrinath, Badri Vishal, appeared to him and said, I want you to take all this money, all this fortune of yours, and go to Vrindavan. And there, near Govardhan Hill, is the great Saint Raghunath Das Goswami, and dedicate all this money and all this fortune to assisting him in excavating and restoring Radha-kunda and Śyāma-kunda. When he came down to Vrindavan, it's a long walk, he explained everything that had happened. And Raghunath Das Goswami very gratefully accepted. And between Raghunath Das Goswami, this wealthy merchant, and Jiva Goswami, they actually began to restore Radha-kunda and Śyāma-kunda. Now, previous to this, the Brijabasis would sometimes wash their clothes in Radha-kunda and do other kinds of washing utensils. And Raghunath Das Goswami his heart could not accommodate this. It hurt him too much that they're washing their pots and their clothes in the sacred bathing place of Srimati Radharani and her Sakis. So he told some of his followers and Brijabasis, dig a lake close to, or dig a well, so that all of these purposes could be served there, and Radha-kunda and Śyāma-kunda can remain sacred from all of this. So they began to dig a well, and as they were digging, they hit a rock. The rock began to bleed. They were bewildered. They stopped all work, and they ran to Raghunath Das Goswami and said, the rock is bleeding. We're just digging in the ground for this well. And Raghunath Das Goswami said, stop all work. That night, Shri Giri Govardhan appeared in a vision to Raghunath Das Goswami and told, Giri Govardhan is my body. And every part of Govardhan is a limb and a part of my body. Where they were digging, they hit the stone that is my tongue. And that is why it is bleeding. Now you remove that stone from underground and make a temple, so all devotees could come to worship my tongue. And that Jiva Mandir is still there at Radha-kunda. And as they're excavating the Radha-kunda that we see today, began that renovation and excavation. When they were excavating Shyamakund, Yudhisthira Maharaj appeared in a dream, a transcendental vision to Raghunath Das Goswami. Yudhisthira Maharaj said, in love for Vrindavan and Shri Radha and Krishna's pastimes, myself and my 4 brothers are always living on the banks of Shyamakund to observe the pastimes. We are living in the form of 5 trees. Please do not cut us down. When Raghunath Das Goswami woke, he called all the engineers and the people who were helping, and they had to redesign the whole Shyamakund to honor and respect the loving devotion of Yudhisthira Maharaj and his Pandava brothers, Arjuna, Bhima, Nakula, Sahadev. And that is why the oblong shape of Shyamakund even today. Raghunath Das Goswami would speak on the pastimes and the teachings of Lord Chaitanya 3 hours each day. And many Goswamis, Brajabasis, would attend his lectures. As we spoke previously, Raghunath Das Goswami personally witnessed Lord Chaitanya's pastimes with his own eyes for 16 years. He was an intimate associate of all the devotees of Lord Chaitanya. Gadadhar Pandit, Vakreshwar Pandit, Paramananda Puri, Ramananda Rai. And they would all he would hear all of them discussing, and he would take notes of everything. And Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's most intimate, confidential associates, Ramananda Rai and Swarup Damodar, Raghunath Das Goswami not only would constantly hear Swarup Damodar Goswami discussing pastimes that only he and Ramananda Rai will ever know, but he also had the personal diary of Swarup Damodar Goswami, describing the pastimes that he was witnessing, his realizations. And with all of this information, Śrī Raghunath Das Goswami was giving 3-hour class. And he did this for year after year after year. 7 days a week. There was no end. And one of the people who attended every single one of those classes was Srila Krishna Das Kaviraj Goswami. The Vaishnavas, after Sri Rupa Goswami, Sri Raghunath, Sri Sanatan Goswami, and Sri Raghunath Bhatta Goswami, after they left the world, Srila Raghunath Das Goswami was in even deeper and deeper states of love and separation. But the devotees of Vrindavan and Govardhan, they came together and they commissioned they instructed Rupa Kaviraj Goswami to write the pastimes of teachings of Lord Chaitanya in a book. At this time, he was in his 90s. How is it possible? But he was entrusted by Raghunath Das Goswami with what nobody else knew. So with the mercy and the instructions of all the Vaishnavas, they brought him to Madan Mohan temple. And he prayed to Madan Mohan for blessings. And while he was praying, the garland fell from Madan Mohan, and the pujari immediately placed it on Kaviraj Goswami's around his neck. And at that moment, all the Vaishnavas cheered, Haribo, Haribo. Haribo. And then it was confirmed. And as Kaviraj Goswami was writing, he was just in amazement. How is this possible? I could hardly see. I'm an invalid. I'm very old. I could die at any moment. How can I write this great literature? It is Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Sri Nityananda Prabhu, the blessings of Rupa Goswami and Raghunath Das Goswami, that everything is happening. He considered himself just to be the instrument in the hands of Rupa and Raghunath. And he closes every chapter by offering his prayers and his worship to Raghunath Das Goswami and Rupa Goswami. And that book is the crest jewel of all Vaishnava literatures, Śrī Chaitanya Charitamrita, where the philosophy of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and especially his most loving confidential pastimes in Puri, were first revealed to the world in that substance of authority and rasa. Srinivasacharya, Shyamananda Goswami, and Narottam Das Thakur all came to Vrindavan. Narottam Das Thakur was disciple of Gopal Bhatt, of Lokanath Goswami. Narottam was disciple of Lokanath Goswami, Srinivasacharya Gopal Bhatta Goswami, and Shyamananda Goswami was disciple of Hridaya Chaitanya. But all their gurus assigned him to study under Sri Jiva Goswami. And they all became most intimate God brothers. They had different Diksha gurus, but they were the most close, intimate God brothers in the service of Lord Chaitanya's mission. And Jiva Goswami, he became the successor acharya of our whole sampradaya after Sri Rupa and Sanatana Goswami departed from the world. And he would regularly bring them to visit Raghunath Das Goswami at Sri Radha-kunda to receive his blessings, his wisdom, his grace. And when it was time where they were assigned to leave Vrindavan to carry the books of the Goswamis to Bengal to be copied and distributed, Jiva Goswamis, Srinivasacharya, Narottam Das Thakur, Shyamananda Goswami, they all came to the kutir of Raghunath Das Goswami and told him their mission and asked for blessings. Raghunath Das Goswami embraced them and bathed them with their tears. He was so happy, so grateful that they were going to distribute Lord Chaitanya's teachings to the whole world, as the Goswamis had been entrusted. After they departed, some years later, those three great souls arranged for the first Gaur Purnima festival to be celebrated at Keturi Gram, the home of Narottam Das Thakur. And the presiding acharya among all the great acharyas was Nityananda Prabhu's beloved consort Janava Devi, Ishwari. The Bhakti Ratnakar tells in great detail, as well as Narottam Vilas, about that beautiful festival. And after the Gaur Purnima festival at Keturi, Janava Devi decided to go to Vrindavan. And a whole entourage of associates walked from East Bengal today, Bangladesh, all the way to Vrindavan. And when Janava Devi arrived in Vrindavan, she came to Jiva Goswami's Radha Damodar temple. And one of the first things she asked, tell me about the well-being of Raghunath Das Goswami. Jiva Goswami explained, after Rupa and Sanatan have left the world and Raghunath Bhatta has left the world, he could hardly do anything. He's just crying in the ecstatic love of separation from Lord Chaitanya and his associates. Just to tell you his absorption before continuing the story. When Rupa Goswami was still there in Vrindavan, he wrote the Lalita Madhava. And he came with the only manuscript, because it's all written in palm leaves. It's only one copy. He gave it to Raghunath Das Goswami for his opinions. And when Raghunath Das Goswami was reading about the separation of Srimati Radharani's heart from Krishna, feeling so deeply how my beloved Śrī Radharani, the supreme object of all my worship, is suffering due to separation from Krishna, Raghunath Das Goswami was crying and crying. He couldn't eat his buttermilk anymore, and his devotees were beside themselves to see his state. They didn't know what to do. They went to Rupa Goswami and said, "This is what your book has done to him." We get a lesson here. According to our realizations, when we're reading, we're not just studying academically some subject matters, but these Vaishnava literatures. As we make spiritual advancement, we are presently there in the Leela at that moment. So what to do? Rupa Goswami wrote another book about the meetings of Radha and Krishna. Very playful, loving, joking meetings during the Danakeli, or the taxing pastimes. And he came to Radha-kunda and said to Raghunath Das Goswami, said, I need Lalita Madhava back because I need to complete it, but I wrote another book, please read this instead. And give me Lalita Madhava. And he took it away and gave him the new one. And when Raghunath Das Goswami read about the beautiful, loving exchanges in the meetings of Radha and Krishna, he was completely blissful. And the problem was completely solved. That was his absorption. And now Rupa Goswami's gone. Sanatan's gone. When Janava Devi heard from Jiva Goswami his condition, she said immediately, bring me to Radha-kunda. I must give him solace. And when they were approaching Radha-kunda, Raghunath Das Goswami was just crying and chanting the holy names, Radha and Krishna. And from a distance, Krishna Das Kaviraj Goswami was with him. He said, "There is Jahnava Devi, she's coming." I don't know if he had ever seen her before. But he worshipped her. And somehow or other, Jahnava Devi saw Raghunath Das Goswami at a distance just crying and chanting, and her heart was completely melted. She was rushing to get closer to Raghunath Das Goswami. When Raghunath Das Goswami was informed and saw her from a distance, somehow or other, he stood up. And with all the strength he had, he was rushing toward Jahnava Devi. They were both rushing toward each other, and all the devotees were witnessing. And Raghunath Das Goswami, the crest jewel of renunciation, the crest jewel of prema, the Prayojanacharya, he did his Dandavat pranams at the feet of Jahnava Devi. And Jahnava Devi blessed him and gave him solace. And for Raghunath Das Goswami's pleasure, she lived for some days on the banks of Radha-kunda. Srila Raghunath Das Goswami, he is our Prayojana Guru. In Gaudiya Sampradaya, Sanatana Goswami is declared to be the Sambandha Guru. Through his life, through his teachings, he's opening the doors for us to have a personal relationship with Radha and Krishna through loving service, to transcend the attractions of this world by the supremely sweet, beautiful form, pastimes, and qualities and the holy names of Radha and Krishna. And Sri Rupa Goswami is Abhideya Guru. His example and his teachings, the pure, unalloyed devotional service, to render service spontaneously to Radha and Krishna. And Sri Raghunath Das Goswami Prayojana Guru. Whatever Sanatana and Rupa have contributed in our lives and is fully realized, he's teaching the ecstatic mood of the gopis' love for Krishna as a servant of Sri Radha. His teaching was Radha Dasyam. He didn't want, in a beautiful prayer, he prays that I only want to be the servant of Srimati Radharani. If she is pleased with me, that is my life, that is my soul, that is my everything. Without serving and pleasing Srimati Radharani, who gives the supreme pleasure to Krishna, then I have no attraction to Vrindavan. I have no attraction even to Krishna without pleasing Sri Radha's devotees. This cannot be artificially. We must see in his love, he could give up sleeping, he could give up eating, he could give up all the wealth in the world, all the comforts of the world, as insignificant, because his heart was so completely filled with the mercy of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. As a servant of Sri Radha's service to Krishna. And that is Raghunath Das Goswami. Is that what you wanted me to talk about? And our beloved Srila Prabhupada, His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, in the spirit of Bhaktivinoda Thakur, the spirit of Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada, is giving us most mature, authentic, and most effective way of actually becoming a servant of the Goswamis. The Leelas of Radha and Krishna are so high, they are so pure. And in mundane consciousness, we can so easily take them cheaply. What is the humility in which the Goswamis approached? Because it's so easy to take these pastimes so cheaply and to take the path of Vaidhi Bhakti, Raganuga Bhakti, Prema Bhakti, to take any of them with as long as we have these false egos. We naturally take them cheaply. We don't understand their true value, their true glories. The 6 Goswamis are residents, beloved Manjari associates of Srimati Radharani coming to this world to teach us what Lord Chaitanya is opening the doors for us to achieve. And Srila Prabhupada and our acharyas, seeing the distraction of people's false egos, thinking that they're qualified for things that are so beyond them. They gave us a sure, purely blessed way of approaching the highest Leelas of the Lord. And for this, we are eternally grateful to Srila Prabhupada. He's not giving us something imaginary. He's giving the highest spiritual reality with the most effective, responsible way of approaching it. Without Trinadapi Sunichina, without a pure taste for the chanting of the holy names, all of these things are imagination. Without really a surrendered mood of being a servant of a servant of a servant, it's an imagination. But what is so high? We recognize it, we hear about it, we worship it. In the mood of servant of servant of servant, as our acharyas have given us. And for this, we're forever indebted to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Hare Hare. If we do it quickly.
Hare Krishna. Let us all express our gratitude really from our heart for this really wonderful marathon class For almost 2.5 hours, Maharaj really painted a picture on the life of Śrī Raghunath Das Goswami. And it really doesn't get better because we are blessed with the association of Maharaj, His Grace Gauranga Prabhu and Gauranga Darshan Prabhu all under one roof. Let us chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra once, followed by the program of Maharaj distributing gifts for all the youth participants who are present here. Hare Krishna,
Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
I'll be calling out the names of the youth. Please come forward. Maharaj already has a commitment. Please come forward, accept your gift, and then you may go behind and offer your obeisances to Maharaj. Partha Mitra ready? Mohana Kumari. Vaidehi. Raman. Let the claps continue. These youth have come from far off places. Harshita Shetty. Sudhiri Anand. Lalit Khare. Ananya Quantum. Tulsi Gopi Sarvai. Tulsi Sapar. Madhavan Dinesh. Ayonija. Samyukta Krishna. Śaraṇāgati. Kirti Ganesh. Anand Mohini Devidasi. Omkar Dubey. Gauranga Dave. Tulsi Gopi Nidungari. Siddhant Singh. Sanya Patel, Navya Agarwal, Navya, Reena Meghani, Kishori Dave, Khuditya Manohar, Siya Gupta, Shashank Khara, Mahaprem Kirtan Das, and finally Sushila Gaurangi Devidasi.
Arjun Sakhā Das. Arjun Sakhā Das.
He's behind the camera. The other one. The other one.
Okay.
This one.
We may not want, but we have to conclude our today's session. Let us really with all our heart express our gratitude to Maharaj for spending more than 2.5 hours speaking about Śrī Raghunath Das Goswami and really enlightening our hearts and inspiring us with these different pastimes of the associates of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Let's really chant the Hare Krishna Mahamantra once with all our heart to express gratitude.
Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare.
Radhanath Swami Maharaj ki Jai, Prabhupada ki Jai, Namaste Gaura Bhakta Vrinda ki Jai, Gaura Premanande, Hare Krishna.